Hello and welcome to this yoga foundational video for the yoga asana pigeon pose. Pigeon pose is a great pose to open up the hips. It's a great hip stretch. It also builds strength in the glutes, and it's an all-around great pose if you get into it. So let's go ahead and go over the fine-tuning alignments for pigeon pose. So for pigeon pose, we're going to start in our downward facing dog. If you are unfamiliar with down dog, we have a video for that as well. So for down dog, we'll start in a plank pose here, and then we will push those hips right up to the ceiling, elongate the arms, pressing those heels down to the mat. Downward facing dog. Now from downward facing dog, we'll go ahead and lift one leg. In my case, I'm lifting my right up to the ceiling, opening that hip, bending that knee, opening that hip, making sure you're pressing into both hands at the same time. And then we're going to hinge forward, square the hips to the mat, bring those shoulders over the wrists, and bring that knee, in my case, the right knee, somewhere behind the right hand. Go ahead and come down, plant that back foot flat onto the mat, and inch it back, inch it back, inch it back toward the back edge of your mat. Now at this point, you're probably feeling a pretty big stretch in the forward hip and glute. Also, you may find this is difficult for your knee. If that's the case, you might want to rethink doing this pose. Now, I have seen very many very bendy yoga instructors who beautifully pull their leg, their front shin parallel to the short edge of the mat. And that is great for them. For me, I am unable to do that. If you can do that, that's great for you. We're looking for what is right for your body. So here we are in a pose that some might perceive should look a certain way, but that is incorrect. The pose should feel a certain way, not look a certain way. So if you're feeling like you've hit your sweet spot here, where it's not hurting and it's not overdoing the stretch, then that's where you're at. Now, what I mean by that is your leg can be way back to your groin area or anywhere in between there and parallel to the mat. So find your sweet spot with your leg. Now, once you find that, we're looking for our hips to be square to the front of the mat. Our back foot is pressing into the mat. The top of the foot is pressing into the mat. That back leg is engaged. The front foot is flexed to protect that knee. And from here, once you find this pose, and you're in your right stretch, you're in your great sweet spot there, you can stay here upright, pulling that chest forward and up, shoulders down and away from the ears. You can come down to the forearms, and this does intensify the stretch in the outer hip and the glute. And if you'd like more, you can come down to the mat, pulling those hands all the way forward, forehead to the mat. You can rest your head on your hands or a block if you'd like. And just breathe here. This is a pose that's usually held for 3 to 5 breaths to really get into that stretch. Now, if this is a little difficult for you and you're finding that you're not able to really balance in this position, you're off, your balance is off, your hips are not square to the front of the room, your hips are high, and you're not able to come down to the mat yet, One modification is you can take a block and you can put it underneath your sit bone, your pelvic area, and raise that up a little, and that'll help. That'll help with the stretch. You can use, a towel, a bolster, whatever you have handy in the house, just to elevate this forward hip to make that a little more accessible. To come out of this pose, we'll just press back in, curl that back toe under, and send it right back up to our three-legged dog and release. So let's go ahead and go through that on the other side. For pigeon pose, we'll go into our three-legged dog, lifting that other side, the left leg up to the ceiling, squaring those hips to the front of the mat, I should say. Open that hip by bending the knee and stacking them if you can. From here, we'll straighten that up leg, hinge forward, bringing those shoulders over the wrists, bringing that lifted knee in and placing it somewhere behind the left hand. Inching that back foot back towards the back of the mat, pressing it firmly into the mat, active leg in the back. Flexing that front foot to protect the knee, finding your sweet spot, your angle here that works for you. Once you find that, you've got that settled, you can bring it down to the mat on your forearms or all the way down, reaching forward. You can use a block if you'd like to raise those hips up a bit. Place that right under there, that helps. You can stay up high if you'd like. It's all what feels good to you. Now, this is a very, very good pose to stretch out those hips and the glutes and to build some flexibility and greater range of motion. To come out of this pose, curl that back toe under, send that forward leg back up to three-legged dog, and release down. And there you have it for pigeon pose. Thank you for joining me.